So such public fiat monies fulfill the three function of monies. Monetary economists have studied this for a long time. Store of value, unit of account, medium of exchange. Why do I raise that?
Let's talk about Gary Gensler's 8 steps to denial of the use cases for crypto. Step 1. Talk about the size of the US equities market, which is approximately 30 trillion US, and imply that crypto is really quite small. Step 2. Talk about the characteristics of money. Step 3. Talk about Bitcoin and talk about how Bitcoin fails to meet all but one of the characteristics of money. The characteristic of money that it arguably does meet very well being the store of value, and just talk about how it meets one criteria of many, and talk about how nobody knows who the founder of Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto, is, and maybe make a kind of humorous reference to the fact that the white paper that Satoshi Nakamoto wrote was published on Halloween. Having established that Bitcoin only meets one of the characteristics of money and that nobody knows who the founder is, move on to step 4. Step 4 being to talk about other crypto. But when talking about other crypto, don't distinguish other crypto from Bitcoin in a positive way. Don't say anything about how there are positives concerning other blockchains that distinguish them from Bitcoin. Just leave the inference hanging that when you spoke about Bitcoin only meeting one of the characteristics of money, that must be true of all other blockchains. So talk about other crypto, but don't distinguish, and just artfully leave it hanging that maybe all of the deficiencies of Bitcoin are also deficiencies of other blockchains. Having indirectly disparaged other crypto, move on to step 5. Talk about how crypto can be used negatively and nefariously, and keep it in general terms. Don't make this specific to anonymity coins like XMR Monero. Just leave it hanging that Bitcoin, not Bitcoin. Just leave it hanging that other blockchains maybe do use and maybe do meet another characteristic of money, but only in a negative way, and just leave that kind of hanging and infer that it applies to all other blockchains. Having left that negative influence, inference hanging over all other crypto, then move on to step 5 and talk about how private money doesn't work. Make a self-aggrandizing comment about history just to illustrate how scholarly and academic you are. Talk about wildcats, wildcat notes, that sort of thing. Having established that over time private money doesn't work, then move on to step 7 and talk about US government policy and how crypto, or indeed anything else, has to fit within government policy. Now, don't worry about the fact you're actually talking about US government policy. Just talk about government policy as if the only government that matters in the world is the US, and as if attempts to collaborate on a multinational basis, multi-jurisdictional basis, don't really exist. Just leave it. And certainly don't reference the World Economic Forum and the work that they've been doing on the central bank digital currencies and bridge assets to such as XRP. Just don't reference that. Talk about government policy, and just to reiterate, don't talk about the fact that it's US government policy. And if the US government policy is a little bit behind because, say, they haven't got a plan for adopting central bank digital currency, and they don't even have a plan for adopting a central bank digital currency, just leave it. Just leave it. Just talk about government policy. Revere it like it's some kind of altar in a church, and say that And that if it doesn't meet government policy, then it's just not going to happen. Just be a little bit smug about it. And step 8 is to virtue signal about how regulators like the SEC offer investor protection. And just don't worry about the fact that maybe they don't, and that maybe holders of XRP as investors certainly haven't been protected. Just don't worry about that. And then talk about clarity as if you've actually promulgated clarity. And don't worry about the fact you haven't. Just talk about it. Clarity, clarity, clarity. It's clear. Talk about your predecessors. Say how you agree with them. Say how you agree about cross-party lines. Just talk about clarity as if it's been done. And don't worry about the truth. Just talk about clarity. Now then, if this approach is followed faithfully, what we can plausibly do as a regulator is plausibly tarnish or taint all crypto with the same brush and cast doubt on whether one should in fact examine any salient characteristics of any particular coin. If we as regulators in the US can follow this approach and encourage other regulators in the US to do the same, then what we can do is we can help the US to fail to achieve the financial stability that could be achieved by the combination of central bank digital currencies and bridge assets like XRP. We can also hinder US innovation by stretching 70-year-old securities law to such an extent that we can litigate against crypto. Don't worry about the fact that that's stretching things just a little bit too much. Just carry on like it's not a problem. Don't reference granting immunity to some and not others. So the some an example of the some in this case would be Ethereum, and the not others would be Ripple, XRP. Don't reference the fact that we gave Ripple a free pass. Maybe it wasn't a free pass. Maybe it was expensive. Who knows? But don't reference that. Don't reference that Ripple and XRP have been singled out for enhanced scrutiny, and say that we have, just reiterate that, or proclaim even that there's clarity, even when there's nothing but opacity. To conclude, if you follow these 8 steps to denial, then you can simply rest on your laurels, do nothing, have an easy time, and feel great about it.